Hello and welcome to Center Stage, a series brought to you by The Workbook, spotlighting the most innovative people and technologies shaping the future of film and television. I'm your host, Trevor Fox, and today we're deep diving vertical storytelling with two leaders at the forefront of the microdrama movement. Monika Dalman, casting director, producer, executive partner at Type A Media, and co-founder of the VFSSA, as well as Alicia Read, actor, producer, executive partner at Type A Media, and co-founder of the VFSSA. Together, they're helping redefine how audiences experience narrative content in the modern age. Let's get into it. What is a vertical microdrama?
You want to take it?
A vertical microdrama, also referred to as a vertical, also referred to as a short series, as a web series. So there's in vertical vernacular, there's quite a few words used interchangeably, not to make it confusing. Essentially, it's a movie-length series produced to be watched on your phone on an app.
Vertical microdramas are not new. They're actually about a decade old, and they started in Asia. And so a lot of the stories that we get that are in English language right now that current platforms are making are actually localizations of stories that did really well and performed well in the Asian market. Mm-hmm. And once they moved over to North America, so from Asia, they moved to Australia, New Zealand, to the UK, to parts of Europe, and then finally around 2023, late 2022, they moved into North America. Mm-hmm. And so the English language vertical microdramas that we have today, a lot of them actually are just direct translations that were then localized to be reshot in North America and promoted to North American markets, English-speaking markets. Mm-hmm. And so there are hundreds of platforms worldwide. Many of them are non-English language. Right. There are at least 200 platforms that do provide English language vertical microdrama content now. Mm-hmm. But some of the heavy hitters, I would say, are like Drama Box, Real Short, Drama Wave, Flare Flow, Good Short. Did I say Short? Flick Reels.
So when these emerged in China, they a bunch of tech companies were obviously noticing the emerging consumer behavior on apps like TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company. Yes. Short form content that creators were producing for themselves, and this whole sort of scroll, what we call it, scroll culture. Mm-hmm. And so they recognized very quickly that they could monetize a piece of content and keep audiences inside of their devices and keep them buying. And so entertainment moved from its traditional format into these sort of screen options across all genres over a period of like 10 years. Okay. They have very heavy censorship in China. And so because this is not traditional entertainment, it's well, we like to refer to it as an intersection of entertainment and tech. So it's actually tech. It runs adjacent to it. It doesn't replace it. Mm-hmm. In that space, these content creators were able to produce content that wouldn't normally air on traditional film and television. Nice. So very amped up, dramatic, sort of like outrageous content that actually isn't new. It's basically a telenovela, which has been around for decades.
And what's really important to take home from all this, especially from the perspective of the workbook, the audience being industry, people in our industry, we all have seen difficult transitions in traditional film and TV over the past, 6 to 10 years, particularly in the last 5. I think it's important to remember for the audience of the workbook, if you're in the film industry, which likely you are, that vertical microdrama was never, ever intended to replace traditional film and TV. Mm. Instead, it happens to have popped up at a time where traditional film and TV are sort of shifting and changing and learning and adapting to new consumer behavior. Mm-hmm. So as filmmakers, I think it can be easy to be very worried that, microdramas are stepping in and, they're trying to replace traditional film and TV, and they're really not. Mm-hmm. I consider us very lucky that microdramas turned up now, because while traditional film and TV is sort of sorting itself out and figuring out what direction it's going to go in, as filmmakers, you have an opportunity to stay in the creative game, still play around on a set, work really hard on a set, So actors, crew, creatives, producers, directors, you still get to play within a film and TV world, but these are apps, right? Like, it's someone who sits and watches a movie in their living room or in a theater. That's like a group activity, a social activity. It's a very different consumer behavior and activity than watching something alone on your phone, right?
Absolutely.
Microdramas are really a solo experience. And that is nothing that is solo on your phone is ever going to replace that experience of being in your living room, watching a screen together as a group. You watch a vertical microdrama on your phone by yourself. So no one's trying to replace anything, but we're very lucky that we have sustainable work during the time of transition for film and TV, right? So it can be very tempting to compare them, but really they are running parallel, but they're different. They're very, very different.
It's a lot more dramatic, like you're saying. It's a lot more of the telenovela style acting, a lot more in your face.
Very soap opera-esque. So really this isn't actually new. It's just a repackaging of what has already existed for a particular audience demographic for decades, with a new kind of a formula that's generating revenue to the tune of, if you look up the statistics, last year was quoted, valued at $7 billion, predicted to more than double by this year.
What?
On its own. So this format, by the way, it did emerge in China. At least that's what we read, and when you educate yourself on it. But these apps are coming out of India, they're coming out of China, out of Korea, Japan, Ukraine, Turkey, and now we have domestic apps that are emerging as well in North America, but then as well in Europe. But the most oft-quoted statistics do come out of China, of which there are over 100 apps. Here in North America, we service produce probably for 20 to 30 maybe of them, a few of which are headquartered in Los Angeles now. So that would be Drama Box, Good Short, Real Short is the largest, most often quoted. They have headquarters, soundstage, and as well exclusive actors. We're producing about 3,000 of these globally a month. About
same numbers.
Yeah,
That's
about
crazy.
20 in Vancouver and about 30 to 40 in Los Angeles. So these are our two North American hubs. So it's a repackaging of kind of that soap opera, telenovela, outrageous material, coupled with this revenue generating formula, which is this movie length broken up into 60 to 80 episodes. Each are about 1.5 to 2 minutes long.
How much faster are you able to, or are they able to be produced than, say, a traditional film or TV show? I mean,
That's
it
a
must
good
be
question.
I mean, I'm not sure they are faster. Like, I think what is really important as another takeaway is that these are not being shot on cell phones. They're not like content creator material in the same way that if someone is making a YouTube channel or if someone is creating content for TikTok or for some kind of reel, the crews and the sets are akin to what you would require on if you're filming a movie, like a made-for-TV movie.
Okay.
So we're talking full crews, proper sets. When you look at a budget breakdown or plans for production on one of these, it's very, very similar to a made-for-TV movie in terms of crew size, in terms of the locations, in terms of script length. It's very comparable. It's usually what I compare it to when I'm explaining production needs to a service production company that might be interested. You're not throwing it on your phone and like going out with your friends and making it. These are professional productions.
We get that a lot from people who've never watched these before, don't really know about them. They think sometimes it's just as easy as flipping your phone vertically.
Right.
Yeah.
That was going to be my next question.
Just shooting it that way. Yeah. No, but very definitely. And the timelines are tighter, certainly. So, you can go from concept to market if you really know what you're doing in 6 months' time.
I mean, quicker. Like
8 weeks.
We've seen if you know what you're doing and you're like a production company that has a pipeline that's established, you can go from concept to final edit being delivered after 8 weeks, no problem. It's just a matter of knowing what you're doing. And I think that there's a misconception that it's going to be easier. And I like to tell producers that are interested in transitioning to this space or entering it in addition to other work that they're making, that it isn't easier. It's the same alphabet is being used in vertical microdrama, but it's a different language. The pacing is very different. The edit is very different. What you're looking for on screen, ultimately in the end, is very different. This is very, what I find really cool about it is it's very actor focused. So I tell the actors, if you're going out for a small role in a microdrama, in that moment that you're performing your role, all eyes are on you. Like, you're in the frame fully. It's all about your reaction. It's all about your moment that you're having. And there are no wasted moments in a microdrama. And I think that is another pacing and structure element that's really interesting. Like, when you're watching a TV series or you're watching a made-for-TV movie even, or like something in a theater, like there are there's quiet buildup, and a lot of time left wondering or like hinting at things. And in a vertical microdrama, it comes at you right away. There's no ambiguity. There's no slow burn. It's happening very quickly. You're getting the story fast, and you're getting the story, it's laid right out for you. It's a very different style of acting and a very different style of final product.
And it's very, very, very formulaic.
Yeah.
So Monika literally wrote the book on how to write for vertical microdramas, because she's worked with, I mean, we've both worked with many, many platforms. Monika has worked with more than 20 worldwide, cast over 100 of these. And we've certainly seen I've been in 20, and we've seen the evolution of sort of where we were when we first started service producing to now where we're at, which is original IP being co-produced with some of these larger platforms, revenue shares, and then of course domestic platforms that are now emerging as well. But it is its own, we have created a system, we have created a skill set that is very unique to the space, and it's because of what the audience responds to, that is so measurable by the data that's informed, because it's all through an app now. So that's also what makes it so unique, is that there's not a lot of guesswork in terms of what will generate the revenue, which is a little bit different than like, crafting a piece of material for a specific audience experience, or the experience is really, let's just make some money.
Like, the really fun thing about it, I think, is that the audience of a vertical microdrama so far, what we say statistically, is women 30 to 65. And I think what's so fascinating about it is that you would think it's teenagers and people in their early 20s, because we think of them as always having their phone or always looking at their phone. But I think a lot of why these do so well is because if you're a woman 30 to 65, you're kind of at an interesting time in your life where you might be, raising kids, you might be taking care of aging parents, you might be always working and, at the point of your career where you're always out and about. And these are kind of giving you an opportunity to watch a story unfold on your phone in little tiny bits as you live your life.
Little tiny dopamine bit.
Yeah. And like,
it's really a dopamine hit every.
Yeah. So you might be waiting for appointments to start, transiting from one place to the next. You kind of have a few minutes to yourself, and you know that you're not going to sit down in front of your TV and turn on like a whole series. You're not going to start like an entire 8-episode like mini series that's going to be hours and hours of watching. It's something to kind of look at in the moment, and you know that you can always take a few minutes. And I like to think about attention span, and I don't feel like verticals are a result of shortened attention span. I feel like they're the result of continuous external demand. Like, I think about myself, like I work from home. People, even though I say I'm working, might ask me a question here or there, like my husband or my kids, or the phone might ring, and it would be impossible to sit down and watch a long extended show uninterrupted. Like, how often are we uninterrupted? We're always interrupted. So knowing that you have something where if you can take a minute or two or no one is going to ask you where their bag for dance is, or like ask you if you can take a quick call or something. Like, you know that you can consume it in that little bit, and you don't have time to like wait 3 long full episodes in to find out if that's a good guy, that's a bad guy.
Right.
It's getting delivered to you right away.
Yeah.
And I think yesterday we were also talking with somebody about decision fatigue and the world and just the mental anxiety of existing right now in 2026.
Yeah.
The thing with verticals is there's no question they are deliberately written so that at the second a character walks onto the screen, you know if they're evil, you know if they're good, right? You're not having to make even the tiniest decision in your brain about, oh, I'm going to figure this character out. No, it's being delivered to you. And there's a certain peace in that where you don't have to think too hard about it. It's just there.
So, I mean, like how Netflix, the shows are being written so that even if you're looking at your phone, they repeat certain information repeatedly. This is even further to that point, I guess. There's no second guessing at all what's going on. You're just like,
second
boom.
guessing.
No.
It's all right there. And they're written intentionally for the leads will have an arc. The villains do not.
Oh, really? They're just very kind of more one note. This, I'm evil.
They stay bad, and they always get their comeuppance.
Okay,
So,
good. Sorry, but
yeah, and there's all kinds of conversation around the material and how outrageous it can be. And, we hear from a lot of people who want to make things better. But I think there are some deeper elements to it, which is, you mentioned the sort of the psychology around the time that we're living in right now, and this sort of comfort of knowing what you're going to be watching unfold, and knowing who the bad guy is, and that they're going to get what's coming to them. And there is a redemption arc that exists in every single one of these that the audience really responds to. And we believe that that's a big part of the appeal to these as well.
Yeah. Cool. And soap opera is not new. Like, when I first started casting these, I did a deep dive into soap opera to try to get a sense of, the clients had been asking, like, we need soap opera performances, we need soap opera looks. So I said, okay, I'm going to go look at soap opera. I know my parents watched General Hospital and Days of Our Lives when I was a kid, but there had been a gap for me. And so, so my 12-year-old, who was 10 at the time, or 9 at the time, we sat and we watched the telenovela Ruby, and we watched Passions.
Ruby.
I'm going to watch this.
I mean, there's
amazing.
I've not seen anything in a single vertical microdrama that was as intense as things that happen in Ruby. I feel like a lot of criticism about vertical microdrama is coming from a place of grief and a place of uncertainty, because crew want to work, filmmakers want to work, people have beautiful scripts, they have careers that they've built in film and TV, and they're struggling to get hired, right? And so I think that when you have something like vertical microdrama, which again is not the same as traditional film and TV and was never meant to be the same, it was never meant to replace it. When I think they can see that it's thriving, I think that it can be the normal human response to feel like, oh, this is ruining,
it's garbage,
what's going on, or
it's
this isn't
representative
good
of our mindset and our
but it's not really
of human civilization.
It's not meant to be that way. Like if I also like to compare it to like your favorite bubble tea restaurant. If you told someone, this is my favorite bubble tea restaurant, and they were like, oh my God, like that has nothing on like this Michelin star restaurant that I've been to. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, it's not supposed to. Like, this is where you go for your bubble tea. This is where you go for your fine dining. Like, they're not the same.
Right.
So it's just, I can see that it's coming from a place of really wanting to work.
Really wanting to work.
Yeah.
And also, we're not negating the fact that, especially in the early days, the material was not always very savory, that the working conditions were lacking. And that's also, why we came together to do what we have been doing in this space around professionalizing and elevating and so on. I know we're going to talk about that. But there are some elements to it. We're both artists, but we're also business people, and we recognize what this is doing for the livelihoods of cast and crew, and how this can offer a way for the format's not going anywhere. It's an innovation, just like you have a great metaphor Morgan gave you around Polaroid and how.
Yeah, like I feel like to avoid leaning into it is, I think, a bad business decision, in the same way that Polaroid, hopefully Polaroid does not contact the workbook. I love Polaroid. But when digital cameras first came out, Polaroid didn't want to get into that game.
Right.
And then they took a bit of a hit for that.
Yeah.
So I feel like it makes sense, if the world is transitioning into a space, to get an idea of how your company can take advantage of that, learn about it,
Evolve with
lean
it.
into it, evolve with it.
It doesn't mean crafting material where people are throwing each other into the pool all the time and
Yeah.
stealing each other's babies. And
It's going to replace your art house films, right?
yeah.
It's not Citizen Kane or anything. It's,
No,
yeah,
no,
it's
and
its own thing.
this is not, we're not in A24 territory, but this is a business, and this is a business that's thriving and that's keeping people sustained and alive and working. And so there's a next level that's arriving, which is, and sort of back to what has been created through this whole journey from 10 years ago, China, and 10 years ago to where we are today, where we've created a system, a skill set, a bit of a star system as well, is that now we have broadcast quality, network level products that we are creating, that we are writing, that we're making here, and that are making a lot of money for a lot of people. And so I think that's the math that's so attractive about what this is and what it will become.
When Vertical Microdrama first came to North America, the production companies and producers that were transitioning them here, they spoke Cantonese and Mandarin. And so, of course, if you're going to film and produce in another country, you're going to want to work with people that speak the same language as you.
Yeah.
And I know for us in Vancouver, like in Richmond, they have tons of small production companies that are making, I like to talk about the product videos, because if you go on Amazon to buy a tent, you're going to probably be able to click on a video that shows you how to put the tent together. And there might be a person in the video making a tent, not really making it, but putting it together. And then you can watch that video. And a lot of companies in Richmond were actually making thousands of those videos a year. So of course, when people, came to start filming verticals in North America, in Richmond and BC, these are the teams they're going to connect with, because they're the filmmakers that they know.
My first audition for a Vertical Microdrama was in a dance. It was in a warehouse that housed a dance studio.
Yeah.
You can keep this in or not. It was most unbelievable. It was so interesting. You would love this. So it was in this space that was like ginormous with a really loud fan. Everyone was wearing masks. They put me in the center of the space with this like hanging mic, and my reader, who had a mask on, was walking around the space looking down, not looking at me. I couldn't hear anything.
What?
And then apparently the client, which is what we used to refer to the platform as, the client, was on Zoom from Shanghai asking me if I could please make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger. It was the most interesting audition experience.
We can all appreciate being new, right? Like there was a time when we all had to be filmmakers for the first time. We had to figure everything out. And I feel like transitioning from making product videos and wedding videos, where you're kind of working with people for a couple hours, is so different from a 6 to 10 day production where it's a narrative project. There has to be continuity.
Right.
People need to be fed. You're working with the same actors, maybe 12, 13 hours a day for 6 days in a row. Hopefully that's the max number. You can't work for 7 days BC.
Okay.
But of course, like there was a learning curve. And so I, at first, was thinking, this is very frustrating. I don't think this is going to last here. People aren't going to tolerate this. But it stuck around. And in time, the situation demanded elevation. And so I realized very quickly that, the unions were not going to immediately step in and make a union situation. I mean, again, film and TV is very different from tech. That is why it takes so long for a good union agreement, I think, to get its foundation, because the needs are different. the stakeholders are so different than a traditional film and TV relationship. But I knew that the language I was hearing from non-union actors was, you have no rights as a non-union actor. You have no rights as a non-union actor. And I knew that language came, that we're all partially responsible for that language, because when we support unions and when we encourage unions, we say that to people. We say, oh, without a union, you have no rights. But that was a very grave error on our part, because it let people feel that if they were non-union actors, they couldn't look after their own safety. They couldn't advocate for themselves. So I decided that rather than starting a war with some producers or whatever, the best thing to do would be to encourage talent to advocate for themselves. And I know that as a non-union actor, you might not have the protections and support from a union, but you do have the protection and supports from employment standards, and there's human rights laws, and we have labor laws in the province and in the country. And so I wanted to encourage people to empower themselves by knowing what those rules were, and knowing that it didn't matter if you were union or non-union. You still have these built-in
human
rights and freedoms. And so through that process, I met Alicia, and then we swapped war stories, right? And then we realized quickly that we needed to make the VFSSA, which is
the Vertical Film and Short Series Alliance.
Yeah, the VFSSA. And we created that because we wanted to know that vertical microdrama is an amazing way to provide sustainable employment for people in film and TV.
I think it's been very interesting to watch this grow up from those earlier roots that we were just describing to, I want to be in the union. As an actor, my career aspirations are, I play a lot of villains in the microdrama space, which is very exciting and fun, and I love it. And ordinarily, I wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity here in Vancouver as an actor to be able to play those kinds of roles, because we are so service-oriented. But I do have aspirations to do, art house films, or things that might have slightly different messaging or more deeper messaging.
Different audience.
Yeah, and that does require probably me to be a union member, and I've been fighting really hard to get into the union. You know how hard it is as an actor. It's really hard. You have to put your time in. And I was feeling actually pretty dismayed as an actor in the space, coming back after being out for so long. And I had my foot out the door. I was like, I think I'm done with this. And then I got scouted for a microdrama. And when I stepped foot on that set and I saw who was on it, having this aspiration to be on a network set with, or a Hallmark or a Lifetime Movie of the Week, and my lighting guy has just come off a Hallmark, and my DP's been flown up from Los Angeles and was on Peaky Blinders. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is actually real business. And so, yeah, that's when Monika and I met and sort of had this like epiphany. I don't even think I finished my sentence when I was like, should we, do you think we should? And she was like, yes. And because we knew that this was a business, and a business that was going to sustain people. And that if we didn't create something that would help bridge the union and what was happening, we risked losing. So this was now, last year.
Yeah, maybe it was
July when we launched, but we risked our region losing these opportunities where the IP originated outside of our region. We knew that they would go somewhere else. We knew that if we had intervention,
we knew it couldn't be heavy-handed.
We knew it couldn't be heavy.
Yeah, like a lot of, I hate saying harm reduction because it sounds much darker, but I feel like harm reduction is actually a pretty good word. It's not a word, it's a phrase. Harm reduction is what we were kind of looking for in the vertical space, because it could be very easy to just say, you know what, you're not filming any more of these, these sets aren't organized or whatever.
Right. And the flip side would be organizing these sets on behalf of the union.
And there's room for that for sure. But we have to remember, like we told you earlier, that these started 10 years ago and they ultimately left Asia because of things like censoring the content and censoring these projects are part of why it left Asia in the first place. So we knew we would lose an opportunity to provide sustainable and meaningful work to filmmakers if we just came down heavy-handed. If we said, these all have to be unionized, these all have to be XYZ, they would just move the way they'd already moved here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that, and I did a lot of research and...
Actually, what you did do, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, what did I do?
Monika actually facilitated the first union agreement in the world for a microdrama, and this was before the big.
This was before SAG, yeah. It was a team effort. I mean, a lot of people had been approaching UBCP and ACTRA about getting an agreement together, but then in the end, it really came down to needing a client or someone who really needed it. And so I just made that situation happen. I said, we have a client that's looking. It ultimately fell through because of some weird things that happened, but
you cast it.
It
was almost ready to go to camera.
It was almost ready to go to camera.
So the process had already been.
Yeah, and so now there was a union agreement in place several months before the SAG agreement.
Yeah. So we knew it was possible. But again, we really felt so strongly that the system that we'd created with the skill set, with these professionals who'd stepped in with their existing skill sets and had, really created this sustainable work environment that, and we could see the future too. We knew that because the system had been created, that resulted in a broadcast quality network level product, that of course, with all that math that we described, the majors would want in, the industry at large would want in. And we really wanted to create a scenario where our community was acknowledged and recognized and supported, where the community at large was, and also, for those wanting to enter into this space to know that there was a system that was replicable, that they could learn it, that they could apply it, whether they're a streamer, whether they're a legacy studio. It was really important to us that was established. So, yeah.
And I mean, can we talk about the quality on these sets? Like, the crew members on the sets are people you see on every other set in the city. So many people on the call sheet, I always make sure I get the call sheet when I'm casting a project. I'm looking at the call sheet and I'm seeing the same crew that are working on big TV shows my kids are on that are union. I'm seeing the filmmakers are so talented, and now they're getting an opportunity to pick up a camera, to do to perform, to practice what they've been practicing,
and not lose their houses,
and not lose their homes, and be able to eat and be able to pay bills by being on these sets. And I knew there's nothing inherently dangerous, there's nothing inherently unprofessional about a vertical microdrama. If we see or hear experiences in the vertical microdrama world that are negative, we do a giant disservice by saying, oh, it's just that way because it's vertical. No, it's just that way because you're not taking it seriously.
Don't understand that.
Right? And if you're able to enter this space from an earnest place and you say, I want to do the very best job that I can do on this project, everyone's going to be safe. Everyone's going to have a good time. They're going to have a blast. They're really fun when they're done safely and correctly. And people will continue making money in film and TV. And it is a very lucrative space right now if you take the time to honor the roots of it and truly understand how it makes money and how it works.
I will say I shot in LA. I shot a microdrama in LA for Good Short. And we were shooting on location literally next door to the Warner Brothers lot. And I think it was a Tuesday, the parking lot was maybe 1/5 filled. There were barely any cars there. But our art department was Emmy Award winning. My hair and makeup was like General Hospital vet. So to illustrate the quality of craft that goes in, like who's behind making these? All the people that you want to work with.
The experts, yeah.
Who are some of the biggest platforms in vertical microdramas?
So when we're talking service production, here in North America, we produce probably 10 to 20 of these per month, 30 to 40 per month in Los Angeles.
Wow.
I'm not sure what I think Atlanta's kind of around the Vancouver sort of stat. We're producing for so out of China, there's over 100 apps. Here in North America, we're producing for about 30 apps, would you say? And then, no, more. But in Los Angeles, we have about five of the biggest platforms that are based there, that are headquartered, have sound stages. And those would be Real Short, obviously, is the biggest and has the most presence and visibility. Good Short, Drama Wave,
Drama Box,
Drama Box,
Okay.
Flare Flow,
Flare Flow, Flick Reels. There's
Shara TV.
Shara TV is a new one that's all female owned. We just finished producing something up here. They were producing up here. Candy Jar is kind of, seems like the A24 of the microdrama space.
Tier one.
Yeah, they do. They actually have the acting is really great. The stories are really interesting.
Yeah.
Holy Water, which was previously My Drama, which very sort of famously, I suppose you could say, was acquired by Fox Studios. So that was really big news a couple months ago. Disney announced their incubator with Drama
Box.
So Disney has an incubator with Drama Box, and they recently announced the launch of their vertical channel. We anticipate some more of that. Miramax has a platform that they've launched.
Former owner.
The former, pardon me. Okay, we'll rewind that.
Oh, good.
So some senior executives as well out of Los Angeles building their own apps.
Okay, so all the big guys are moving into this space essentially. It's going to be a matter of time before everyone's doing it. Yeah.
For about a year, I've had consulting jobs with many like legacy studios and producers out of legacy studios who are just trying to feel out how they can incorporate vertical microdrama into their existing business models.
Like you were saying, it's a very female-oriented demographic that this is being directed towards. Do you see in the future it being targeted towards men, or the style of it changing to a male demographic?
I've definitely cast some stories that they're targeting a male audience. A lot of like boxing storylines, video game sort of storylines where they're more interactive. Everything is being experimented with now for sure. I haven't seen a platform yet have sort of a stories for guys like topic or like subject, but it's definitely happening. And I feel like we'll start to see, like, they have to make the shows first before they can launch something like this.
Sure.
Like, I guess an interesting stat, if you're a producer, is that to have a successful platform, your library has to start with a minimum of 100 completed series.
Because the demand is...
Because of the demand and the consumer, the whale consumer, so to speak, who's bringing the most money to this world, they're consuming like 2 to 5 of these per day. So if you were to launch a platform and you only had 10 shows on it, the people who are really spending the money on these shows would be through your library in a day or two. And then at this point, you will have advertised microdrama to them, and then they're just going to move on to another platform that has a library that can sustain their need for watching them. So I feel like what's happening now is they are shooting some stories that are more aimed at men, but until they've, they've made a sufficient library of content, they're not necessarily going to release them, but they're being made for sure.
Okay, cool.
And that really is about the microdrama, which is that mashup of telenovela, Hallmark, sort of some B-movie stuff, and that does appeal specifically to that female demographic.
I mean, men love drama.
Men do love drama. I think we could say men love drama.
Yeah, like their drama is just different. Their drama is like, I don't know, like I love Rocky. That was drama.
But other genres,
pure drama.
It'll be interesting to see how other dramas work in this space. If they follow that formula, have the cliffhangers, maybe some of the tropes. But we do understand that in its country of origin in China, now all genres are streaming in this way. So certainly that will be something that I think in the next year we'll probably see, maybe more exploratory, but horror, sci-fi.
You've both worked on a handful of Real Short films. Can you tell me a little bit about some of your favorites?
Real Short is so smart. They established themselves as, if you didn't know about microdramas and their origin in China, you would think that Real Short started microdramas, I think, in North America.
Yeah, like
their
Real
branding,
Short is like
their marketing,
right?
They're so smart. They've taken out billboard ads in Times Square. They've had Paris Hilton do interviews in their space. They're so smart about their marketing. They have exclusive actors,
brand integration.
They were the first ones to do the brand integration. At least I think they were. And they've made some shows that have seen billions of views. Like they're like the Netflix of microdramas.
So we, after casting and consulting on many vertical microdramas, we decided that we wanted to see for ourselves the challenges and the ups and downs. And so we recently were able to work on a real short co-production of an original IP story.
It was the first real short original developed in Canada.
Yeah, and it's called The Billionaire's Fake Wife, and it's coming out January 30th. And it was really exciting to be on that set, especially because we were actually able to invite our members of government to the set to see that it is actually a full working set, not any different from a TV movie set. And the story is wonderful. The acting is fantastic.
We brought Cayman Cardiff up from Los Angeles to play our lead. He's a doll who's amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Real short regular.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the stories on Real Short do dip into different genres. And you can really watch these actors grow. The shows from 3 years ago are so different than the ones now. Another one that just came out recently is called Love in the Ashes of Us that I cast. And the acting in it is just so amazing. And this is a project I cast, so I saw their reels and their auditions and their resumes. And like, these are very strong, like experienced theater actors performing in this show. And I mean, you can really feel the emotion, and it just, I don't know, the performances are so beautiful, and it's been just amazing to watch this space evolve.
Cool. Are there any stories that you feel you haven't touched on yet that you'd still like to be told, or?
In the microdrama space?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so many.
Yeah.
I think there's space for all kinds of stories, really. You know, as we know from the back end, as long as the formula is followed, you can almost fold in kind of anything to it, really.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I believe there's no limit to genre, and I know that hasn't been tested yet. So if you were to say, Monika and Alicia, we want to step in and make a microdrama, we want to make a bunch of money on the microdrama, I would say, okay, stay safe, kind of stay in the zone of creating something that you know audiences always have a hunger for. But the fact that something hasn't been done before doesn't mean it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So as long as you follow the formula and the algorithm, I really don't think that genre has to be limited to even drama. Right. I think as long as you have those hooks, spikes, and cliffhangers, and you're keeping in mind, you know, the framing and all those little details about what make things work vertically, and if you stay locked into that consumer behavior of watching a narrative story on your telephone, then, you know, it's likely to work if your story is strong, because at the end of the day, it's really all about the story. And I think the story ironically gets missed a lot when we talk about film and TV and microdrama. We're thinking about the dollars, we're thinking about the everything but the story. And at the end of the day, microdrama came from web novels, and people like Crazy Maple, they like Real is owned by Crazy Maple, and Crazy Maple is more than a decade old as a company, and they started in online fiction, right? Story is at the heart of it. And so Real Short is...
Probably don't know that.
Real Short is one of their apps, but originally Crazy Maple was focused on literary apps. So at the end of the day, when you're watching a Real Short, know that they're inspired by people who ultimately read and write stories. So at the end of the day, if the story hits with the viewer, that project is going to work, and microdrama is just one way of reaching people with that story.
I'd like to see more comedy. I'd like to see a recurring comedic soap. You do see kind of a range within the microdrama. You do see more gritty drama. You do see more outrageous, sensational, kind of soapy stuff. And there's some comedy in there too.
But can I tell you a secret?
Please.
The world. The secret is that you watch a microdrama alone. And so when you're watching it, I could watch a microdrama and I could be giggling and thinking, oh, this is so campy and funny. And another person across the world could be watching that same microdrama and they could be taking it very, very seriously and approaching it very earnestly. But because you're watching it by yourself, there's not that pressure of like when your best friend sits you down in your living room and says, we're going to watch my favorite movie. And they're watching
at you the whole time.
the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're looking for your reaction. Like, that's not how it works in microdrama. You're never sitting down with your best friend and being like, let's watch this together. And then like kind of feel out if you still like them, right? It's your own experience. So like, I might watch one microdrama and be like weeping, and another person might be giggling and being like, this is so outrageous.
Yeah.
And that's kind of beautiful because you might think, oh, these stories are so flat or these stories are so basic, but they're really not. There's many levels to these stories, and the performances are just, I mean, yeah, they're big, but that's because they're meant
very
to be
specific
Yeah.
for the format, which I know you wanted to ask about too. But yeah, there's a reason why they're performed the way that they're performed.
Yeah.
Right.
Too. There is a bit of a science there.
It's more about these stories, and when I'm looking at the acting, I ended up actually writing an entire curriculum on how to act for these, because when you've worked with over 20 platforms worldwide and you're sitting in those rooms and you're hearing what execs are saying and what producers are saying and what writers and directors are saying, you learn really quickly what they're looking for. And as an actor, you should be so thrilled to be in a microdrama because you are what is on the screen. And because you are on the screen and the focus is on your emotion, there should not be a single second in a microdrama where we don't know what your character is thinking, or where we don't know what they're feeling. There's no moment of speculation.
Yeah.
And this is actually really hard to kind of, figure out if you're coming from a world of film and television where often there can be slow buildup, and grounded acting can sometimes be what they're looking for depending on the genre.
The slow burn or the
there's no slow burn. And as an actor, if I book you as goon, or if I book you as like, waiter number 3, like, we're booking you in that role because that role has to be there. And when you are waiter number 3 or when you are goon, the camera's on you. That is your moment to show like what goon is thinking or feeling, or what waiter number 3 is thinking or feeling. And that's a very exciting thing for an actor, is you get to actually really work your instrument. And it's actually very difficult for actors. It's very stressful as a casting director and as a director and as anyone making film if you can't push somebody, if they won't go bigger. It's a really good opportunity to practice flexing your instrument and kind of getting yourself to the point where you can really push out a performance. It's much easier to scale a performance back than it is to allow yourself to feel comfortable and confident going bigger.
Right.
And this is a great space to exercise that and to practice that. And I actually think it's very challenging to know that in a scene, you are carrying it every time you speak. You are carrying it. You need to be reacting to everything. A lot of that is the consumer behavior too. Like if you're scrolling through and you see a reel, it's silent, right? Until you click on it.
Yeah.
They need whatever is happening on the screen at any moment to be able to lure a viewer in. And so as an actor, to know that you have to step onto that set and you have to constantly draw in the audience, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. Sometimes if you get an actor role and it's really a small role, they're like, you know what, just go be there and be a body. This is an actor role because you have like a task you have to do. So the AD has to talk to you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's technically an actor role, but when you get an actor role in a vertical, it's like, we need you to get in there and do this.
It levels the playing field, so to speak. It's sort of like everybody.
For sure.
Which is amazing.
In
like,
that
it's
sense.
kind of neat, right? As an actor, you're important no matter what.
Yeah, no matter how big the role is.
Yeah.
Very cool. So are there any advantages to watching a vertical on your phone on an app versus traditional filmmaking?
Yeah, a really cool example of something that can make watching a story on an app really cool and different from just watching something on TV is interactive storylines. So one of my favorite things to cast are the interactive vertical microdramas. I cast one for Good Short just about a year ago, and it was one of the first ones that I'd ever cast where it was kind of like choose your own adventure.
It was really cool.
Yeah, so
very fun to watch.
Yeah, and so instead of just shooting one outcome, the actors were actually shooting 2 different outcomes, and the person watching can decide, hey, yeah, I want these 2 to kiss, or nope, don't like him, I want her to just leave the room.
Cool.
And that Good Short was the first time I'd ever seen this, and I know that different platforms have been making them ever since. But that to me is a really good example of why watching a story on an app might be a little bit more of an adventure for a viewer than just watching something on traditional film and TV. And of course, if you're watching it on your TV, someone else in the room might have an opinion. They might want them to kiss. You might want her to leave the room. But the beautiful thing about this particular Good Short was that it's a vertical. So you're watching it by yourself. You can make the decision. It's all on you. You get to decide.
Sort of like Bandersnatch on Netflix, the Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Similarly. It was
Exactly.
Choose your own adventure stuff.
And my whole family fought about which choice to make when we watched that. And so we had to watch it several times because everyone had an opinion. But when you're watching a microdrama,
It's you.
your opinion is
Your
king.
experience.
You make the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all for you.
We elevated the heck out of Vertical Microdrama with that Good Short because we decided the whole story was modeled around reality TV. And we brought in Matthew Stephen Smith,
Oh, yeah.
who he is from Too Hot to Handle, which is what the story was modeled. He's also the nicest person on the planet, and he is too hot to handle.
And he just got married.
And then we brought in
Stop it.
Evan Bassick, who is in one of the #1 verticals
Of all
worldwide.
directed by Dom Kitterby.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
Mafia's Tender Touch.
Mafia's Tender Touch. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
right up my alley. I'm going to watch that.
We had Nick
Is that- is that-
Westaway, right? Nick Westaway was in it.
Mhm.
One of the top vertical actors worldwide also.
Former Australian soap opera
Star. Over 300 episodes
Yes.
he was on. Yeah. So we really elevated it with that Good Short. And the fact that they had some choices, that was really, really cool.
I love shooting with, I've shot a few times for Good Short. And
Yeah.
had really elevated experiences,
Oh,
actually. So,
cool.
yeah, for actors who are thinking that, well, we've talked a lot about this, but the experiences now on these sets are, they're like union level sets almost in a way. Definitely broadcast quality network level.
Okay, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Monika and Alicia, for coming and hanging out with me today. And to everyone out there watching, we'll catch you on the next episode of Center Stage.